Hey guys, I'm Mono and this is Foxhole, a game I've been trying to get into for the past 2 weeks. I say trying to because I'm not sure I've succeeded. In a way, my first days with Foxhole have reminded me a lot of my first days with Hella Loose, of how I would just run around aimlessly, not truly understanding the flow of the game, feeling out of place, feeling like I was missing something. But then, brief moments of something truly unique, of incredible action unlike in any other game that I had played before, and the glimpse of something truly amazing just inches away from my understanding. But those moments were few and far between. I spent 3 hours playing Foxhole this weekend. I spent 1 hour queuing with other players to try and get into one of the more populated regions of the game. I spent another hour loading ammunition to a tank and then hopping in as commander, so not driving nor shooting, just trying to spot things. Sometimes we would get shot at and we'd fall back to repair, then we would drive back up, then we would get shot at again, and we would fall back to repair again, and this went on for a while. Lastly, I joined an infantry squad. We were up on some trenches and the enemy was on a hill next to us in this absolutely massive bunker structure fortified with machine guns and cannons and weapons that I don't know the name of. We couldn't really push. We tried to, but we died. So our squad leader had an idea. Shoot some rockets at the guns and try and breach their defenses. So we got a tripod from the base because you need a tripod for the rocket launcher thing. A guy carried the tripod and another guy carried the launcher. I escorted them, or I think I pretended to. We set the tripod down, we set the rocket launcher on the tripod, we got ammunition for it, and we loaded it up and shot some rockets on the target that we couldn't really see, and then we died. That was 3 hours. Did I enjoy those 3 hours? No, not really. But then there was this time where I logged in and we were fighting over some trenches and we flanked down the beach, got into a firefight, completely annihilated the enemy, took over an enemy trench. That gave our guys the time they needed to fortify our defenses, build some machine gun nests. Then this guy comes up, he throws a grenade on our trench, completely wrecks us. Then they start flanking down the beach, so we held the high ground with the help of the newly constructed machine gun nests, charged straight into the enemy trenches and won control over them. I shot people, I built stuff, I talked to people around me in an incredible moment of spontaneous cooperation and great gameplay. The combat felt great. Shooting in this game is kind of weird because you have this isometric, almost RTS kind of view, but I managed to get plenty of kills, and man, did I have a lot of fun. So hopefully this little story of two different perspectives caught your attention, because Foxhole is or can be pretty amazing. This is a war simulation MMO game. It is a persistent war raging 24/7 across multiple different areas of a huge map. This isn't a game where you as a player can have a decisive impact on the outcome of the overall battle. You are a drop in a bucket of a gigantic war machine of thousands of players collecting materials to build factories, to build bullets and rifles and trucks, and refineries to actually fuel those trucks, to get the stuff where it needs to be, and cranes to load the things onto the trucks that also need to be built and transported. All of this so you can shoot enemies who are doing the exact same thing on their side. Every grenade, every bullet, every tank, everything was built by players and transported by players to be used by other players on defenses and structures that were also built by players. There is an absolutely insane amount of things going on behind the scenes that I don't yet fully understand as a lonely noob, and you can choose to engage this in whichever way you want. I will say this right now, if you're into games like Factorio or even RTS games, then 100% check this out, because the whole multiplayer dimension added to the logistics is absolutely nuts. It's not the most in-depth logistics system. There are things called basic materials or BMATs, which are used to build bunkers or rifles or bullets. So, some magic unobtainium type thing used for everything. So I think most of the complexity comes down to reacting to enemy attacks and properly stocking up for a big push on the enemy with the proper equipment and weapons, of which there is a crazy variety. Now, given my experience working in logistics for 8 years in real life, I decided not to be involved in logistics in any way, shape, or form. My interests lay on the battlefield. If you want to find enemies in Foxhole, you have to head to the front line, where teams usually clash in a mess of massive, sprawling bunkers, trenches, machine gun nests, and tanks. Defensive structures dominate the flow of battle. They set the pace. You can't just get up from your trench and try and shoot your way to success. Winning or losing comes down to the combination of successfully spamming grenades, properly rushing when the opportunity arises, and gaining inches of terrain by building even more structures to help your team get the upper hand. This is a slow game. You won't really see any major progress during the course of an hour, maybe even 2 or 3. You won't gain control of an entire region in a single sitting. In this way, it is very much an MMO. The time commitment is pretty huge if you want to really leave your mark. The battles here, the wars themselves, can last up to a month. Now, don't get me wrong, you can still jump in and play an hour and be done, but maybe during that hour, all you did was hang around a trench, getting blown up a bunch of times, and maybe killing a few enemies. You can jump into a gun emplacement and just suppress the enemy for 30 minutes, or hop onto a tank and try and help out, hold the line somewhere. Now, I'm not really a very patient gamer, so I've done things like getting a machine gun to shoot enemies that were crossing a bridge. Then by the time that I gathered the necessary equipment and took my position, the enemies were gone. But then a few tanks were spotted, so I went back to the base to change my machine gun for a bazooka. I took position again, and lo and behold, waves of enemy infantry as far as the eye can see, and not a single tank. This happened more times than I care to admit. So if you're looking for instant gratification, rest assured you will not find it here. Foxhole is a very social game, and the internet being the internet, that can be good or bad. I got into one of the biggest clans or groups to guarantee I would have people to play with and teach me the ropes. So I'm able to hop onto a Discord channel and try and help an ongoing or planned operation. One time, this was just trying to hold a bridgehead. Another, it was resupplying ammunition to artillery guns as they fired at targets that I couldn't really see. So just walking back and forth between the ammunition pallet thing and the gun and loading it, and then walking back and getting another round, and then walking back to the gun and loading it a bunch of times. So what I'm trying to say is this game is not for everyone. I don't think it's my type of game, but some people will absolutely love this. I would almost call this a role-playing game. A war needs people who will spend hours building defenses, or people who will group up to get a bunch of boats and do an assault on an enemy position that covers like 0.01% of the map. And while doing that, you might think that it is super irrelevant to the broader picture, that what you're doing doesn't really matter, but that's the thing. All of it matters. Every medic running around the trenches matters. Every soldier scavenging supplies from the fallen and returning them to base matters. Driving a truck matters. Reloading artillery matters. The 5 dudes that you killed while you defended a trench for 20 minutes also matter. It's the combination of all these moving parts that make the game what it is. So would I recommend this game? Absolutely, 100%. But I think you already know if this game is for you or not. If your mind has been wondering at the possibilities, at the variety, at the hours upon hours that you can spend just doing all sorts of different things, of being a combat engineer or a tanker or a truck driver or a crane operator or a gunner, then this is for you. Now, if you've been more concerned about the shooting and the kill streaks, then probably no. If you're that type of player, you can have fun in this, but you won't find it often enough for you to be okay with it, you know? So that's it, guys. This is an extremely unique game. There's nothing quite like Foxhole out there, and I think a lot of people will enjoy it a whole lot because it's really good at what it does. Alright, hopefully you enjoyed this review slash story slash opinion thing on Foxhole, and if you did, then you know the whole spiel. Subscribe, like button, bell, comment, and all of that. Alright, as always, thank you for watching, and I hope I will catch you in the next one.